Hello and a warm welcome to the Punters Guide. We're here at York. It's day 4 of the Ebor Festival on Saturday. It's an outstanding card, of course, the feature race of the whole week, the Ebor. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Frankie, York just get things right, and it's been a brilliant week, hasn't it?
They do, and do you know what's refreshing for me, Mark? I obviously go up and down the country, different race courses, and I spend a lot of my time on course talking to punters. When you speak to people here, they want to talk about the racing. They want to ask you who do you fancy. They want to say how good was City of Troy, and it's nice because they're here to have a good time, but it is a real racing crowd and it makes it more enjoyable.
And how good was City of Troy, the Betfred Derby winner?
Unbelievable. That's the best performance I've seen in the flesh on the flat. That City of Troy was a Constitution Hill moment for me on the flat. When I saw him just in the final furlong, I was stood out on the track. Unbelievable.
And how good is Ryan Moore? Obviously, he won the feature on Thursday as well with Content.
Yeah, and he's been even riding winners for other trainers. Nobody can stop him. It's a real vote of confidence, isn't it? If he's riding your horse and if he's drawn well, or even if he's not drawn well, he just gets him into such a good position. I think if somebody took a screen grab of where he was turning for home in every race he's ridden in, he's nearly in the best possible position every time.
Well, Ryan Moore is not at York on Saturday. He's at the Curragh on Saturday instead. But it's a really good card here at York. We're just going to talk about a couple of races in detail. Let's talk about the City of York Stakes for Group 2 at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, really good race. Audience obviously has been surprising everyone this season with his performances. Kim Ross, a bit of an old favourite who's won here plenty of times but hasn't really fired as much as we'd like him to this season. And then Lake Forest, slightly more unexposed, will be my selection, Mark. He finished second the last 2 times. Once Royal Ascot behind Inisherin over 6, really tough horse and a good performance there. And then last time behind Elite Status, who may not catch everyone's eye as a Group 1 horse, but he's very good at Newbury, and that's where it was. And to get close to Elite Status at Newbury, for me, puts you in the mixer. Not only that, Lake Forest has won here last year, so he comes back to a track he likes. He's improving. He's only been beaten by Group 1 horses. Up to 7 furlongs, he will be my selection.
So just recap your selection. In
Lake Forest, William Haggis.
And yes, and of course, William Haggis, born in Yorkshire, loves to have a winner here on the Knavesmire. And then at 3:35, for me, this is one of the best races of the summer. The York Ebor. Frankie Dettori won it last year. Of course, Frankie not riding in his country anymore. It's really good. We'll have 20 runners as well for the Ebor. Often a story in this big race as well. It's Europe's richest handicap as well, the Ebor. Well, I'm trying my best to sell it. It is a brilliant race. It always is.
You mentioned the prize money, and no wonder there's, half the Jumps army have turned up. There's plenty of Jumps horses in here having a go, and obviously Willie Mullins won it last year with Absurd, who went on to win at the Cheltenham Festival, or maybe previously won at the Cheltenham Festival, one way or the other. Either way, he's got another, Hip Hop Delor, who started his career in Poland. You don't see that very often. And I'm really siding with this horse, largely off of the improvement that Willie Mullins can probably get out of it, and that's no diss to other trainers, but when a horse comes from abroad and has a different career and then gets to Willie Mullins' yard, you know that he will eke out 10%, 15%, maybe more out of that horse. So he's rated 103, he carries 9.7, but I'd say he's got to be a 105, 6, 7 horse, so he makes the shortlist. We're allowed a couple in the Ebor, aren't we? Another Jumps horse, Magical Zoe. If you follow what Henry de Bromhead has done on the flat this season, I know it's not what you normally do, but he's actually banged in a couple of flat winners, and Magical Zoe ran with credit last time in a group race, comes here carrying 9 stone 6, that's good enough for me, and then I'm going to have one on the flat. I've just got to find it a bit further back up the market, I think. Would be Epic Poet for David O'Mara, who's been having a solid week, especially in the handicaps. I feel
he
like
was unlucky yesterday, wasn't he?
He was. I feel like he's really targeted this festival. The horses that have won here or ran near to here have looked like this has been on their plan for the season. So there's no bigger race of the week than the Ebor. If he was going to make a plan, it would be for this race. So that's Epic Poet for David O'Mara, and Danny Tudhope will ride, who's a brilliant jockey around York. So I've gone for 2 Jumps horses, one being Hip Hop Dilar for Willie Mullins, one being Magical Zoe for Henry Bromhead, and then David O'Mara, who's been arguably the trainer of the week outside the Cornwall lot in the handicaps with Epic Poet.
And Willie Mullins won this race last year, so Hip Hop Delor would be your first pick. I thought One Smooth Operator might run as well for Brian Ellison as well, number 9, One Smooth Operator. But it's a brilliant race, the Ebor. make sure you watch it live on ITV or in the Betfred shops at 3:35. It is one of the big races of the summer as well. Let's just talk about York. We mentioned it at the very beginning. It's very much a racing crowd. The drink's reasonably priced, the food is reasonably priced. There's a really good atmosphere. Look, Frankie, me and you are very lucky. We get to go to Royal Ascot, we get to go to Glorious Goodwin, but I always especially look forward to the 4 days here on the Knavesmire. York just seem to get things right.
They do. It's so good. And even as a race course, if people haven't been before, the setup and the layout of it, the different, I mean, as we're looking over there, there's a rooftop champagne bar, as you'd call it. There's seating down below. You go into the stand, you go up into the boxes. There's a lot of places to wander around, and then you go that way. The pre-parade ring's lovely. The parade ring is great viewing with the steps. So as an experience, luckily yesterday, for the first time in a while, Mark, I was here pretty much as a punter, and I got to walk all of York and really enjoyed it. And then from the staff, they've done something new this year, and a thing they've got today is called Under Jockeys Orders, and it's to promote the jockeys and their faces. So they've got their names on their breeches like you would have football players. They've got on the big screens, as you've been seeing all week, before the race it flashes up with the jockey's name, their age, their strike rate at York. So they're making a real effort for people to know the horses and know the jockeys, and as I said at the start, I feel like that's made a difference when I've spoke to people.
So you're actually claiming this is work, are you?
Yeah, I definitely didn't work yesterday, and it's up for debate whether I'm working today.
Right, the day 4 of the Ebor Festival, the Ebor is a feature race. It is a cracking day's racing. Just recap your best bets.
Best bets on
Ebor,
yeah. The 2 jumps horses, Magical Zoe and Willie Mullins' horse, so I'm not going to try and pronounce it again, but the 2 jumps trainers. And you've got to have a few darts, by the way, in the Ebor. It's a fun race, anything can happen. You can have some hard luck stories.
Hip Hop de Loire.
That's the one, Hip Hop de Loire. And then David O'Mara's horse called, you're going to have to help me out again here, Mark.
The O'Mara horse, yeah.
Epic Poet would be my 3 in the Ebor, but that's more of a fun race for me. That's shit, £2.50 each ways. I really like Lake Forest. Really like Lake Forest.
In the city of York.
In the city of York, yeah.
Right, thanks for watching the Punter's Guide. Enjoy the racing. Be lucky.